Is magic spiritual or psychological? And what happens if you don't exactly believe in the spiritual sense? Let's talk about it. So, a lot of magic, from like Wicca and modern paganism and any spiritual path that you take the magic esque twist or flavor to it, usually has a component of honoring or working with deities, entities, and spirits. So I go from the ideas of kind of both sides where magic to me is a very heavily psychological mechanism, mainly because of its connection with the Jungian kind of psychology, with how we connect through our deep mind, the collective unconscious, to tap into the fabric of the universe and change it to our liking with magic, creating changes in reality in accordance with will. And so I take that psychological side, but I also do believe, due to my own experiences with, I do believe in the ideas of entities, spirits, and deities. Although deities is still a little sketchy to me, but my experiences with the Simon Necronomicon and the Gatewalking in particular um, do speak to me that there is a higher force out there. You can take it from the Kabbalion perspective of the all. You can take it from the perspective of the ultimate force Brahman, where the divinity is like one giant force, and then it speaks to everyone through these different visages, these different faces. But let's say you don't believe in working with deities or spirits or what have you. You can take a couple of avenues. You can believe that magic is purely a psychological mechanism that helps you through the ideas of changing your focus and changing what your brain pays attention to, where your attention goes, and things like that, so you are better able to grasp and notice opportunities that align with the goal that you want to lead you from point A to point B. Because let's remember, magic takes you from the state that you are at and kind of sets up a little bit of a GPS roadmap thing from where you are to the state that you want to be in, whether it's getting this or getting that, manifesting this, manifesting that, destroying this, destroying that, banishing this, banishing that. You guys get the idea, right? So, in the psychological viewpoint of magic, which I tend to kind of term, and this is my own term for it, so if you steal it, I'm going to know, the psychomagical perspective. The idea is that your mind is your most powerful tool, and magic helps to shift the way that you see the world and the way that you interact with the world, and it activates different things deep within you, like the archetypes and access to the collective unconscious with these deep-seated pre-programmed stories that are shared by everyone to bring up certain aspects within you that allow you to change the way that you interact with the world to get what you want. I'm trying to think of where I'm just going to go with this, but it's a little stressful this morning, seeing as my two older cats, Teeny and Pix, are now a little bit maladjusted with our newest family member, who I will probably eventually have in a video. They just had a little bit of a screaming fight over breakfast, so that was fun, which is why I have one of them down here. She's behind the laptop. But so, what if you don't believe in deities, entities, and spirits, right? Because magic has a lot to do with, like, depending on what avenues you take and such. You have invocation and evocation. So, when you cast a circle and you call the quarters, right? To some that believe in entities and such, you are invoking certain beings or certain energies to join you in the circle to balance things out. Like when you do a god and goddess invocation, or if you work with a particular deity, you are inviting them into the circle. If you only believe in a psychological standpoint of that, then what you are really doing when you go through this the magical ritual format, you generate a massive amount of psychodrama to get you out of the mundane and into the magical ideas and viewing what you're doing and the world in a different way than up, work, home, TV, bed. So when you invoke different entities, spirits, or deities from just purely a psychological standpoint, you are activating the collective unconscious, and whatever the qualities of those entities, deities, or spirits are the qualities that you are pulling up within yourself to feel that energetic presence, let's say, or you are taking on those feelings and those aspects that you are bringing on within yourself to add to the psychodramatic component of what is going on in your ritual. In terms of bringing an entity within you, calling them within you, that's much easier to feel than if you are to, let's say, manifest a spirit in a triangle of art or something from the psychological perspective. Now you might say, well, if you're only thinking psychology and stuff, then you can't really invoke something into a triangle, you know. But the main idea is what it's how you perceive it and it's how you feel it. Is it internal or is it external? You know, an interesting thing from learning about tulpamancy and such is that the brain does not understand a conversation, does not understand the difference between a conversation you are having with yourself and one you are having with someone else. So you can have that perspective of a presence outside of you, and from the psychological idea, it's still working within you. Hey, Teeny. And she poked into her head in the video there. Come back. Um, where was I? Yep. So you can have an interaction whether or not that entity is within you or outside of you. And it kind of depends on what you are trying to do with it. If you are trying to call upon some force that you may feel is distant from you or you may feel uncomfortable with, it may be more comfortable to invite those aspects from your deep mind outside of you in, let's say, a triangle of art. If you are trying to call up positive forces that you are going to use to change a certain aspect of your life, sure, call them within you. But once again, you can do this at your own comfort level. But the main idea is that magic can be practiced and worked from just a psychological standpoint. You know, it's the same thing as any motivational speakers like Tony Robbins or any of those guys that are trying to get you to change the way that you think and the way that you change the way that you work with your inside in here and your outside out here. You know, and things like, let's say, family constellations or even different workshops like Tony Robbins workshops or any psychological kind of transformational process usually has a psychodramatic component that brings up a lot of the emotional stuff. It wells up your emotional energy because that's where changes are made. It's the same reason why we can remember really, really positive experiences and really, really traumatic experiences much more vividly than just the mundane kind of stuff. Come here. Yeah. A little calmer now? I hope so. Anyway, you gotta get out of the video screen, dude. Come on. So, any magic really has to have that massive psychological shift in it in order to enact any change. You know, you can say that you want to change something day after day after day after day after day, but unless you take action on it to shift those things, it's much less likely to happen. You know, people can have big experiences where they're like, whoa, I'm never going to do that again. Just because it was that dramatic, whether it be almost getting in an accident or maybe even a health scare, you know. So that's what you're doing in magic, is you are initiating a heavy psychologically heavy change event or shift event to create change in your life from the psychological perspective. So, you know, been making videos this morning, feeling a little bit tired-ish, maybe only got 3 hours of sleep or so, but you guys let me know if this made any sense. You can drop that stuff in the comments, you can shoot me an email, and you can connect with me on any of my other social media while I'm trying to wrestle my cat to being a little bit more calm this morning. But of course, you guys can connect with me anytime, whatnot. So let me know what you think about this, and let me know if you believe in the psychological side of magic, the metaphysical / magical side of magic, or both. I say why not both? Good hunting. Thanks for watching my video. So if you want to check out my playlists, I have, among others, the Simon Necronomicon, the Tree of Life, General Magic, Tulpamancy, a playlist on my books, the elements, stones, the theories that govern magic, and the gods and goddesses of Mesopotamia. If you want to check out my books on Amazon, I have Creating Consciousness, Magical Mechanics, Magical Theater, Handy Sigil Magic, Magical Movement, which is an update and expansion upon Handy Sigil Magic, Magical Mastery, which is a combination masterwork of Magical Theater and Magical Mechanics, and The Guide to the Spheres and Beyond. You can also find me on Facebook at Magickology YT. You can email me at priestofthenecro@gmail.com, and you can even check out my Instagram, which is Magickology. And good hunting.